friends, and welcome to Between Sundays. I'm your host, Torri Munier, and I'm really glad you're here. This is a space where we talk about faith in the middle of real life, the moments that don't always make it into Sunday morning. Let's dive in. I just need to tell you about my week. Not because camp itself is extraordinary, although if you've ever been, you know there's something special about it, but because I think God has a habit of meeting us in ordinary places. This year, for me, that place just happened to be a summer camp. I've been home for a little while now, long enough that the laundry's done, the campfire smell's gone, and life has settled back into its normal rhythm. I'm back at my desk, back in meetings, answering emails, planning Sundays. From the outside, everything looks exactly the same. But if I'm honest, I don't think I came home the same person. I didn't have one huge spiritual breakthrough. I didn't suddenly have all the answers. Actually, maybe because I realized how many questions I'm really still carrying. And if you've been reading my personal blog, you know this has been a season of discernment for me. A season of wondering what God is asking of me, a season of wrestling with whether I'm enough, a season of trying to untangle the difference between His voice and my own fears. I didn't leave those things at home when I packed for camp. I brought every one with me. I just didn't realize God planned to unpack them too. Let's start with the hill, because I know that's what everyone wants to hear about. Within what felt like maybe the first 5 minutes of camp, I fell. It was not a graceful stumble, not one of those moments where you laugh it off and keep on walking. No, I tumbled down a hill, completely. And before I knew it, I had earned a new identity for the week. TDH, Torri Down the Hill. The kids thought it was hilarious. Honestly, so did I. Every hill after that came with commentary. Be careful, TDH. You need a spotter? Should we hold your hand? It became one giant inside joke. And somewhere in the middle of everyone laughing with me, not at me, I realized something. Camp has a way of taking away your ability to pretend you've got it all together. Before camp had even really begun, every chance I had to look polished rolled right down the hill with me. And maybe that was exactly how God wanted to start the week. Because ministry has never been about looking impressive. It's always been about being willing. One afternoon, someone taught me how to crochet. Now, if you've ever tried learning something new as an adult, you know how humbling that really can be. I kept missing some stitches. I was pulling yarn too tight and fraying it, undoing rows I thought I had finally gotten right. The person teaching me never got frustrated. She'd just smile and say, well, let's just try that again. I've thought about crochet almost as much as I've thought about falling down that hill, because I wonder if faith works the same way. We think growth is supposed to be fast. We think maturity means never messing up. But maybe discipleship looks a little more like yarn tangled in your lap. Maybe it's slow. Maybe it's repetitive. Maybe sometimes you realize you've missed something several rows back and have to unravel what you thought was finished. Not because you failed, but because God loves you enough to patiently help you start again. As the week went on, I noticed something else. Camp has a strange way of stripping away everything unnecessary. You don't care what you look like. Nobody cares what title you have. Nobody cares what your job is back home. Nobody cares how many followers you have or what meetings are waiting for you on Monday. You're just there, present. And I think that's part of why what happened next happened. One evening, I was leading our devotional, and I encouraged everyone to bring everything to God. Not just the polished prayers, the ugly ones, the questions, the fears, the doubts, the things we've spent months pretending were okay. And as I was saying those words, I realized they weren't just for the campers. They were for me. And suddenly, Everything I'd been carrying for months came rushing to the surface. The fear, the uncertainty, the pressure, the questions about calling, the lies I've believed about myself, including one that has followed me for far too long. If I struggled to love myself, how could God possibly love me the way everyone says he does? It's not a sentence I enjoy saying out loud, especially as someone in ministry, especially as someone who spends so much of life encouraging other people. But there it was. So I prayed, and then I broke. Not quiet tears, the kind of crying where words stop working, the kind where everything you've been holding together finally falls apart. I found myself sitting on the floor, and one of my friends sat down beside me. He didn't rush me. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't tell me everything was going to be okay. He didn't hand me a Bible verse and move on. He just stayed. He held me while I cried, and I don't think I'll ever forget that, because I've spent so much of my life being the one holding everything else, the encourager, the listener, the helper, the one reminding people they're not alone. But that night, I was the one who needed reminding. Maybe one of the hardest lessons for people who spend their lives caring for others is learning how to let someone care for us. Then, as if God hadn't already turned my expectations upside down, one of the campers prayed over me. I still don't know if I have words for that moment, because I went to camp believing I was there for them, to encourage them, to lead them, to pour into them. And somewhere along the way, God quietly reminded me that he could use them to pour into me too. It wasn't a fancy prayer. It wasn't meant to impress anyone. It was simply honest. And somehow it was exactly what I needed. Jesus told us we have to become like little children. Maybe this was one of the ways he was teaching me what that actually looks like. People ask me all the time why camp matters. And honestly, I never really know how to answer that, because it just isn't worship. Or the games or the campfires or the songs. It's the little things. It's hearing TDH yelled from across camp. It's sitting with yarn in your lap, learning something new. It's laughing so hard your stomach hurts. It's staying up way past your bedtime to talk. It's watching kids discover confidence, counselors checking in on one another, realizing you're allowed to not be okay. It's someone sitting beside you on the floor. It's a camper praying over you. None of those moments seem extraordinary on their own, but somehow, when you put them all together, they become holy. I think that's why camp matters. Not because God only shows up there, because he doesn't. God is just as present in my office as he is around the campfire. But camp has a way of removing all the noise that usually keeps me from noticing. It slows me down enough to hear him again, to hear myself again, to remember who I am beneath the job title, beneath the expectations and the schedule and the pressure I put upon myself. It reminds me that I'm still learning, still growing, still unraveling old lies, and still discovering God's faithfulness one stitch at a time. As I drove home, I realized I wasn't just bringing home dirty laundry and another camp sweatshirt. I was bringing home reminders. A reminder that sometimes the funniest stories become the most meaningful ones. A reminder that it's okay to be a beginner. That God isn't frustrated when I need to start over. That sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone hold you while you cry. A reminder that children often understand faith better than adults. And maybe the biggest reminder of all, that God isn't asking me to have everything figured out. He's asking me to keep showing up, to keep saying yes, to keep trusting him with the next stitch, even when I can't see the finished picture. So if you've ever wondered why people keep going back to camp, I don't think it's because we're chasing nostalgia. I think we're chasing space. Space to laugh, space to cry, space to remember who we are, space to hear God's voice a little more clearly. And honestly, I think every single one of us needs a place like that. So thanks for letting me process a little bit more of my week today. I'm still unpacking everything God did that week. I have a feeling I will be for a long time. Thanks for spending some time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend or someone who might need it this week. And don't forget to follow along so you don't miss what's coming next. We'll see you back here soon in the in-between.